Hello everyone, Saida here. So I wanted to post a video about the importance of the inner child and its contribution to the ascension process. Okay, so now for those of you that are new to this whole thing, when we speak of the ascension process, we are speaking of the journey that one takes to go back to the purest version of who they are, okay? And through this journey of going back to the purest version of who we are, we bridge the illusory gap between us and the divine essence, the I am presence, God creator, source energy, spirit, whatever you would like to call it. So the ascension process is our journey back to source, okay? And in order for us to move along this journey of going back to source, we have to peel away the layers. Anything that may be causing separation or causing us to feel as though there is a separation between us and the divine, between us and the universe, okay? And one of the main ways we peel back these layers is through our own healing. Okay, so a lot of times when people are ascending, it requires them to clear away any paradigms, any patterns that are not serving them, anything that is not working anymore, anything that may be weighing them down, okay, and keeping them from having more lightness in their being or more light in their being. Okay, so I want to see if there's any other things that I can share in regards to that. But ascension is essentially spiritual awakening and having more of an awareness of the truth of who you are, to know that you are not just a physical body. You know, you are a physical body, but you are spirit. You are a spirit within a physical body, and that spirit is one with the divine. Okay, so this journey of ascension is helping you to remember the truth of who you are, okay, so that you are not restricted to your physical being, but you also don't forget your physical body. You don't neglect who you are as a human being, but it's this process of, I guess you can say, wholeness or community between your human existence and your spiritual nature. Okay, so when we speak of the ascension process, okay, so what I've noticed is that along my own journey and my own journey of ascension, I have been noticing that I am moving back to how I was when I was a child. And I feel like I'm not the only one that's experienced this. I feel like it's actually very important for the ascension process, and that the inner child, or who we were when we were children. Now, this is before we had to sustain the trauma and the craziness of life. So, you know, when we're speaking of the inner child and we're going back to who we were when we were children, it's the purest version of who we are as human beings, okay? So what I noticed for myself is that I'm moving back to how I was when I was a child. So when I was a child, very sensitive, also very loving, compassionate, open, receptive, forgiving, you know, seeing things through like a pure lens without judgment. And that is the essence of being childlike. And when we speak of being childlike, we're not talking about being immature or, you know, not having a developed mind and a developed sense of self. We're just speaking of being pure, okay, when we talk about being like a child, okay? So I feel like this process of ascension does bring us back to our purest state, which it tends to be how we were as children, okay? And part of being childlike is being pure, is about being compassionate, it's about being open, it's about being forgiving, it's about being loving. Okay, so the path of ascension, I guess I'm trying to like, you know, I'm trying to express this in a way that makes sense to everyone. But unconditional love and forgiveness are paramount for the ascension process. There is no way that you can fully progress on this path of ascension and oneness with the divine by being resentful, by being angry, by being vengeful, by being unforgiving, whether it be towards yourself or it be towards other people. Okay? So, having love for yourself, knowing how to forgive yourself, to be compassionate with yourself, and to extend what you feel for yourself towards others is important for the ascension process and becoming the full potential of who we are in this lifetime and feeling that sense of oneness with the divine, okay? Now, I feel like I want to actually say, because I feel like some people may be wondering, why is that even important? Why is it important to have this oneness with the divine? And the thing is that it may not be important for everybody, okay? So I feel like there are certain people where that is important, okay? And there are certain people that don't find it important. And the thing is like, regardless of where someone may be on their spiritual journey, because we're all on a spiritual journey, whether we realize it or not, we're all on the same path. It just manifests in different ways at different times. And depending on what you want to believe in, if you believe in past lives, that we reincarnate over and over again, or we don't, we're all on the same path to, well, at least this is what I believe. I believe that we're all on the same path to becoming one with Source again. And for some people it takes longer, you know. For some people, you know, they have to go through a few cycles before they start to really realize, you know, who they are. And for some people it doesn't take as long, you know. But I feel like for those that find this ascension process important, it's because it seems as though as a human species that has a spiritual component where we're human and then we're spiritual, we seem to have forgotten who we are, and it's taken us into the depths of hatred, of separation, of you know, feeling like we need to really condemn others. You know, it's taken us on the brink of war, you know, in the past and maybe even in the future. I don't know, you know, hopefully not, but who's to say? You know, and so those that find the ascension process important are those that feel a deep sense of calling to bring everyone together, to help us to understand that even though we do have differences, and I'm not going to say that we're just all the same, it depends on the perspective. From the perspective of spirit, yes, we are all the same because we all come from Source, but then once you come down into the earth plane, we have our differences. And that's needed. You know, the divine needs each and every one of us. Our differences, our uniqueness, all of that is needed, okay? But sometimes, you know, when we have these differences, we can forget that, like, we can forget the purpose that they're meant to serve, that we all have a contribution to this planet through our differences and through maintaining the balance of everything that exists. So those that feel a call to bridge the gap between human and spirit feel a call to help everyone realize the truth of who we are so that we can come back to a state of unconditional love, compassion, and understanding. Okay? So for those that don't find it important, that is absolutely fine. What's very important for whether people who find the ascension process important or not is to be honest with yourself about wherever you are and whoever you are, okay? You will not benefit yourself or anyone else by lying to yourself, by whether it be like, you know, I'll just have an example. I want to give you guys an example. Whether it's compassion for animals or compassion for other people, you don't want to force that. It needs to be something that's natural, and I'm going to touch upon that in another video at another time. But I don't know, I feel like this video deviated a little bit, but I'm going to try to just flow with it, okay? Because I wanted it to be a focus on the inner child and why that's important for the ascension process, but we'll just let it flow. But yes, so that's the point of people finding this ascension process important. And so, for those that do find it important, there is a, I don't want to say regression, because I don't feel like we're going backwards. I just feel like we're going back to the start of where it all began. One thing I want to touch upon too when it comes to the inner child and the ascension process is for those that feel that their childhood was very difficult, because not everyone had a good childhood, and for some people it was really hard, so it's like, why would I want to go back to that point in my life? But what I want to make clear is that it doesn't have to be a going back into those places where childhood was hard for you in order to ascend. Now, okay, so I want to try to explain this in the best way possible so it's understandable. In a way, you do need to do that. In a way, you do need to go back and heal that traumatized inner child, because if the inner child is not healed and it's wounded, it's going to throw off everything else. Okay, so in a way, you do have to go back and allow yourself to heal from any trauma that you sustained while you were a child. Okay, I do feel like that's needed for the process, because unless we do that, we're all heartbroken children. We're all traumatized children. We're all wounded children. And from there, it determines all of our relationships. It determines our experiences, because it's this pain and it's these wounds that guide our path ahead. Okay, and we have to keep re-experiencing things until we get the point that it's the pain that's guiding us and it's not love, and we want to come from a place of love. So in order for us to be clear receptacles for the energy of love, we have to clear out fear and we have to clear out the hurt. Okay, so it is necessary, in order for you to continue to evolve, you do have to heal all those layers of trauma and pain. So, but the point that I want to make is that it's not so much about becoming who you were personally in your childhood. Like for me, that's how I'm explaining it, because that's how I was. But basically, I'm just using it as an example so you can see and understand what it means to be childlike. And that, I feel like, is just like it's like a general thing. Like the child, when in its purest state, is compassionate, loving, forgiving, understanding, non-judgmental, sees magic in the world, knows that magic is possible. And I don't mean pulling rabbits out of hats. I'm just talking about that miracles can happen, that anything is possible. That's magical thinking, okay? That's a magical perspective. Okay, so that's what I want to make clear, is that, when it comes to the inner child and that being our support for the ascension process, we have to heal the wounds of our inner child. And once we get to the purest of the pure of our inner child, that's going to be a reflection of our process of ascension. Okay? So, I want to see if there was anything else that I wanted to share about this. But one thing I want to say, just to round things off, it's not an easy process. It's not easy, because I feel like if it were easy, we all would have done it, So, I want to acknowledge that this process is not necessarily easy. But it's through some very difficult times that we grow the most. We need to give ourselves permission to have a life again, to love again, and to live again, okay? It's necessary for us to forgive, whether it be ourselves or other people, so we can embody that sense of love so that we can be in truth, okay? Because I feel like what a lot of people don't really think about or reflect on is how their sense of unforgiveness, their sense of anger actually blocks them from having the life that they want to live. See, the thing is, like, as humans, we tend to separate things. So we think that, okay, if I went through a difficult relationship, I can just block the relationship area and focus on work or focus on my hobbies, and then that stuff will be okay. But it doesn't work that way. If you block your heart, you're blocking blessings from every area of your life. You're actually blocking your potential, okay? So that's something that I want to give you perspective on. Don't think that if you block one thing that everything else is going to be fine. If you block, especially if you block your heart, that's going to cause issues in every other area of your life. If you block your heart, which typically the human being blocks their heart because they feel like they're going to be protecting themselves, they're going to be safer, they're not going to feel the pain if they block their heart, which, I mean, it does kind of numb you, you don't feel things as deeply, but there is a price to pay with that, because if you block your heart, you're actually blocking your truth. Because your connection to your sense of intuition, your connection to your purpose, your connection to your truth is in your heart. So if you block your heart, you're not going to see the truth. You're actually putting yourself in a position to be hurt again, and to be put in a position where you're not going to be happy. So it may hurt less, but do you really want that kind of life for yourself? Do you really want to be in a state where your life isn't fulfilling? We all deserve to have love and joy in our lives. I mean, besides learning, in this lifetime, because life tends to be filled with lessons and things that we have to understand through experience. But why not be in joy? Why not be in love in the midst of that? If there's anything that we're learning, it's, we're learning to clear out all the stuff that's not of love so we can embody it and be in a state of joy and purity. Joy is a high vibrational feeling and emotion, just like love is. So, that's really important for this process, whether it be the ascension process or just being a human, just being a human being that doesn't have awareness of all that. I'm speaking to you as well. If you felt drawn to watch this video, you as a human being deserve to have love and joy in your life. So let that be your goal. Okay? So, I hope this video was helpful for you all, and look out for more videos that I'll be posting, because there's a lot that I want to speak about. Okay? So I send you all my love and all of my gratitude for your support, and I'll see you around next time. Okay? So take care.